promote something that Alex Jones said?
That was a few weeks ago. I do not stand with Alex Jones' position, narrative, court case that he had with Sandy Hook. My post was a post from Alex Jones that he did in the early 90s or late 90s about secret societies in America of occults, and it's true. So I wasn't identifying with anything of being a campaignist for Alex Jones or anything. I was just there to post, and it's funny, and it's actually hilarious because out of all the things I posted that day, that was the one post that everyone chose to see. It just goes back to the way our world is and works.
To follow up on the promotion of the movie and the book.
Can you please stop calling it a promotion? What am I promoting?
Put it out on your platform.
But I'm promoting it? Do you see me in front of the title?
By putting it out there, people are going to say that you are promoting.
Yeah, I put it out there just like you put things out there, right?
Yeah, but it's not.
You put things out there for a living, right?
Right, but my stuff is not.
So let's move on.
Filled with anti-Semitic
Let's
stuff.
move on. Don't dehumanize me up here.
I'm not doing that.
Another
You're
human
free to
being.
post
I can post whatever I want. So say that and shut it down and move on to the next question.
But Kyrie, you have to understand that by
I don't have to understand anything from you.
It's not me.
Nothing.
It's
no people that you're making up, bro. Move on.
But by posting
move
what
on.
you
Next
did,
question.
Anybody
Do you guys have any more questions for me?
And they're going to say,
you guys have any more questions? Because this is going to be a clip. This is going to be a clip that he's going to marvel at. Is this any more questions?
Welcome to another episode of the Jay Lex Podcast. I am your host, Jay Lex. Please like, share, subscribe, and comment on the content. You know where to find it. I appreciate you rocking with me. Obviously got through the weekend. We're in week 8 of the NFL season. We got a bunch of trades that are going on right now in the National Football League for those who follow. Hold on a second. Let me bring them up here. But yeah, crazy weekend. The Giants and the Jets look like they're supposed to look, even though their record indicates different. But yes, let's see the trades going on here. The Dolphins trade to the Broncos. The Dolphins trade for Broncos linebacker Chubb. Chase Claypool is traded from the Steelers to the Bears. The tight end, Hawkinson, is traded to the rival Vikings, who are 6-1. It's a busy day here in trades in the NFL. You generally don't see this. It's crazy. A lot going on. In the NBA, Steve Nash has finally been fired. He should have been fired during the offseason. Got fired by the Brooklyn Nets today after a 2-5 start. He was not a very good head coach. Great player, Hall of Famer, if he hasn't already gotten in, but not a very good coach. No offensive identity, no defensive identity. Just give the ball to KD and do the best that we can. But interestingly, the Brooklyn Nets, as I'm recording this, look to be hiring former head coach. I don't want to say anything negative towards him, but former head coach of the Boston Celtics for a season, Ime Udoka. Yes, the guy whose name was hot in the streets during the summer. Obviously, long story short, got into some kind of intimate relationship with allegedly the VP's wife. The whole bit, instead of being fired, got suspended, but now is looking to be hired as the Brooklyn Nets' next head coach. I thought it'd be a couple years before he saw a job again. I can't believe how quickly this turnaround is, but we'll see. It's not official yet. I think the general manager of the Brooklyn Nets is supposed to talk at 5, so we'll see how that goes. But yeah, I'm kind of surprised that he's getting a job this quickly. Kind of unprecedented. I've never seen a coach who went through something as public as this was, end up turning around and landing another high-profile job. The Brooklyn Nets are essentially, at least on paper, look like an NBA Finals team. So I know some of the Boston Celtics fans, one of them I know personally, are very upset. He was like, they should be petty and not let him go. No. You see, now, the Boston doesn't do whatever they want, but y'all were the ones who didn't fire this man when you found out that he was in an intimate, consensual adult relationship with that woman. We've never gotten her name. But y'all sat there and essentially said, we're going to suspend you and give you half pay, which is like, it's like administrative leave, basically. It's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. But you sat there and you tried to ruin his reputation because he was in an intimate relationship with another man's wife. I'm not saying that's right. I'm simply saying you knew about it. You knew about it for several months. And you tried to ruin his rep. And now all of a sudden I see some Boston Celtics saying, oh no, he shouldn't be allowed to they shouldn't allow him to go to Brooklyn. Stop it. Y'all did it to yourselves. If y'all fired him, that would have been different. But you tried to be petty, and so now we'll see what happens. We'll see what comes of this this craziness. It's a busy day in sports for some odd reason. It's just one of those days where just one thing after the other, all kinds of alerts. But yeah, the Ime Udoka thing is if it ends up coming to fruition is crazy. He's a really good head coach. He took that Boston Celtics team to the finals in his first year, and at least on paper, the Brooklyn Nets are better than the Boston Celtics. But we'll see how it goes. Anyway, just talked about that a little bit. But what I really wanted to talk about was, I meant to talk about it last week. I didn't get a chance to. Obviously, we all know what happened with Elon Musk officially taking over as the owner of Twitter, and went in there and cleaned house, fired the CEO and the CFO, if memory serves me correctly, like within 5 minutes of taking over the company, making all kinds of changes to Twitter. I think one of the things, I don't have a Twitter account. I got away from that toxic BS. But I guess one of the things he wants to do is he wants to make you pay, I think it's $20 a month for verification or something like that. We'll see how it goes. This is, I don't know his angle. I don't know what he's looking to do with Twitter. I don't know if he's looking to, I know one of the things that I heard was he reinstated Kanye's account or something like that. But yeah, let me see. Let Thursday would not become a free-for-all hellscape. Let me see. $44 billion. It's a pretty chunk. That's a pretty good amount of money to be spending on a social media site. I guess he's supposed to make a bunch of changes. Fired several top executives, according to 3 people familiar with who spoke to condition of anonymity to discuss the sensitive matters. Let's go through the whole thing. I think the CEO and the CFO were fired. We'll see how it goes. I don't know his angle. I don't know him personally. I don't know if this is one of these things just to distract people from what's really going on in the world. But from the standpoint of freedom of speech, I'm for it. You know what I'm saying? One of the things I just read, I saw it on Instagram over the weekend, that the use of the N-word on Twitter is up 500%. And I'm like, how are you quantifying this? I mean, give me a break. Let's just throw stuff out there. There are certain people in this world who don't want, or who want to limit your ability to free speech, which I think is crazy. Okay? I'm not saying that everything on Twitter is great. I'm not saying everything on Twitter is awesome. I'm not saying that everything on Twitter should be said. I'm saying you have a right to go on there and speak your mind. One of the arguments that I often hear is, social media companies are private. Well, Twitter, Facebook, IG, Meta, whatever it's called, and some of the other ones are publicly traded. They're not private companies. And they're also public utilities. So this idea that we're just going to continuously and repeatedly, shadow ban people, that we're going to, suspend them. I don't know how many people I know of who don't even say anything. Like, they might be talking to somebody and they might say something that is quasi-offensive. They're not threatening anybody, didn't do anything along those lines. And they get banned from using or commenting. I forget what all I've never had it happen to me, but, I'll see on Facebook, an article that I posted from like 2 years ago is going against community guidelines. Like why are we spending our time doing this? What is going on? Why is all this silliness happening? Why? An article from 2 years ago, I go in, I check, this goes against community guidelines, and I have to have it disputed. Like, what are y'all doing? You know, if I say something that's quasi-offensive, it might just be funny between a friend and I or something like that. And people are getting shadow banned. They're banned from commenting for 30 days or something like that. I mean, it's gotten extremely silly. I mean, social media is kind of toxic anyway, and you should mostly be using it for business purposes. But if people want to keep up with one another, you don't know their language. You don't know how they talk to each other. And so, of course, the mainstream is not happy about this, freaking out. It lends itself, it essentially, what you're saying is you don't want people to have the ability to speak their minds. And I think that's terrible. I mean, there's other ones out there. I think there's Getter. I know Kanye, I think I talked about before, Kanye bought out Parler. Look, it is what it is. These are the times that we're in. These are weird times, obviously, but yeah, just weird times. It's very hard to explain for those of you who have listened to this show and who understand through the 30 episodes or so who I am, what my thinking is. I know some of you might think, oh, he's a Republican. I don't care about any of these people. You already know my feelings on that. They serve a purpose, and if they don't serve a purpose or serve my purpose, then we ain't got nothing to talk about. Yeah, just weird times that we're in. I think it's very interesting. I'd like to see where things go. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'd like to see, are we going to have less freedom? I know there's some people out there who think we should limit freedom of speech, which I think is asinine. But some of those people also are beginning to turn around. Why? You see people like comedians who can't go. I've seen a couple of videos of like comedians being attacked at a show because they said something quasi-offensive. That's their job. You, of course, famously know about Dave Chappelle, getting speared at a show by some transgendered person who was in their feelings. I mean, from the picture that I saw, that transgendered person caught the beatdown of a lifetime, but that's another story. But once again, we have to get beyond just constantly either disagree. We can disagree with people and not have them canceled. We've seen Kanye get canceled. We've seen Kyrie more recently. We just seen this happen. He put up I don't remember, I want to say it's on Amazon Prime. It's called Hebrews to Negroes or something like that. Now, I haven't seen the movie, or I think there's a book too. I haven't read the book. I don't know about that particular thing. But the bigger issue here is not everything is anti-Semitic. The things that Kanye said, we talked about this before, were not anti-Semitic. They weren't. People need to stop getting in their feelings. So now Kyrie Irving is catching all kinds of hell. He put up some posts, I think on his Instagram or something like that. And so now the owner of the team comes out and says how they're against anti-Semitism. The Brooklyn Nets played at home last night, and there's some people in the front row with shirts that say anti-Semitism. We have to stop this. For whatever you might think about Kyrie and some of his views, Kyrie's a smart man, okay? He put up something that he believes in. Okay, there's a difference between anti-Semitism and criticism. Nobody's for anti-Semitism. I mean, unless you truly hate the Jewish people. I don't think that Kyrie Irving hates the Jewish people. I don't think Kanye West hates the Jewish people. But can we stop with the emotions for a second here? The things that Kanye said were based upon truth. Some people don't like to hear it because they think they want to pretend to be hypersensitive, when in actuality, what they're doing is they think they're above criticism. Nobody's above criticism. Not you, not me. Whether we agree with it or not is different. Well, let's stop throwing these words out here like anti-Semitism, anti-this, anti-that. Oh, you're a racist because you said this or you did that. It depends on what what you said and what you did, but it doesn't automatically make you racist. That's why I remember a while back when Trump was in office, and people would use every single word that they could. Oh, he's they would call him anti-Semitic. Meanwhile, his son-in-law is Jewish. They called him racist. They called him all these things on The View, amongst other shows. And these are the same people who would have him on previous to him running for the presidency. You see, I like to be around these individuals before I make a judgment. If the media, the mainstream media, doesn't like you, they will do everything they can to destroy your reputation. Everything. They will say that you hate, that you're a hate-filled person, or that you're anti-feminist, you're anti-this. No. Sometimes truth needs to be said. And you know, it's going to hurt some people's feelings, but guess what? You either learn from it or you continue to do the same BS. And I'm happy we're at the point now, because right around 2010 is when everything became offensive. Everybody was in their feelings, and it got tiresome very quickly. But I'm glad that there are people out here now who can fire back and say, we're tired. We don't believe this. It's not anti-Semitic just because you say it is. It's not anti-black just because you say it is. I see a bunch of people out here saying F Kanye and all that other stuff. Did you listen to what Kanye West had to say? Or in your feelings because CNN or MSNBC told you what he said was anti-Semitic? Make your own decisions. Make your own assumptions. Do the research on your own instead of being lazy. So Kanye West obviously lost a bunch of money. Kyrie Irving got criticized by the owner of the Brooklyn Nets, the Asian gentleman, Joe, I believe it's Tsai, because I think the T is silent. He got, Nike, who he has a shoe deal with, came out and basically said how they're against anti-Semitism. I ask the same question all the time. Did you actually hear what he had to say? Did you actually watch this movie? He says, I'm holding out my opinion on the movie until I actually sit down and watch it. And then I'm going to give you my opinion on it, or give my opinion on it. Do they all follow the same script? Oh, you know what? When this comes out, we'll just repeatedly see it. There's clips of it. You'll see it online where they'll say, we need somebody where, I wish I could think of an example off the top of my head where they're just talking about, they'll just say, on each network, they'll pick that particular time. Anti-Semitic, 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 anti-black, and you'll see clips of people using, it seems like they just all read from the same lines off the teleprompter. Please think for yourself before you're making assertions about people. And if they happen, and if it's proven that they are racist, anti-Semitic, anti-feminist, like the real feminism, not the BS going on out here today, then that's different. But if you haven't done the research, then please hold your opinion until you actually do. Don't just go based off what the mainstream's telling you. The mainstream has a narrative to pull. And ask anybody who knows, who's in the media. They'll tell you they have to pull a narrative. That's how they get eyes on the product. They're not going to go out there and do all kinds of research. They're just going to tell you, we need X, Y, and Z because that's what's going to get people in. And I mean, look at how the media works. Look at how, especially like the news media. Got people on one side or the other. They make the argument. At least, I don't watch that much anymore. But back in the day, especially when like Bill O'Reilly was at his peak, Bill O'Reilly would bring a subject up. He'd bring somebody from the opposite end of the discussion. They'd argue for 7 minutes, then they'd go to commercial break. Now you've got a bunch of people who are watching this, who are getting in their feelings, one side or the other, and then, we're going to a 7-minute break. That's why podcasts are so popular now, like a Joe Rogan, because now you can have a long-winded discussion. There's no commercial interruptions. You get your side, you get your point off, I get my point off. We might disagree, but I'm not calling you names. I'm not saying you're anti this or anti that. We're all able in that long form, have that conversation. Okay, we agree to disagree. Cool. Instead of constantly being at each other's throats. Meanwhile, the powers that be are doing all kinds of craziness behind our back, distracting us with these silly arguments. And they're stripping your wealth. They're buying land in middle parts of the country, doing all kinds of foolishness. So please, ladies and gentlemen, open your eyes and understand what's really going on in the world. Understand that they are distracting you with a lot of BS. Another thing I wanted to talk about, and I just had a friend of mine send this to me. Let me get the clip up for you. I find some of the, we often talk about the generational differences between people and things along those lines. And one of the things that people talk about is how the younger people of today are like hypersensitive. And I found this clip. Let me see if I can get it. Hold on 1 second. Give me 1 second. All right, I found the clip here. This is a young man. I don't know if this is satire or anything along those lines, but he seems fairly emotional for satire. He's working at Starbucks. He's going to explain to you like all the stuff that's going on. He's a full-time student, et cetera, et cetera. But I found this clip interesting. I'm going to play it, and then we'll come back and talk about it.
People wonder why we need a union at Starbucks, and I am literally about to quit. Like, I don't know if I'm going to do it, but, like, I really want to. I almost walked out today, and I'm crying in the back room right now, and I almost cried on the floor. It's just, I'm like a full-time student. I get scheduled for 25 hours a week, and then on weekends they schedule me the entire day, open to close. I'm on the schedule for 8.5 hours, both Saturday and Sunday. I'm like 3.5 hours into my shift. There's so many customers, and we have 4 people on the floor all day. Only 5 people were put on the schedule, and somebody had to call out. And there are 4 people running the whole store, and there's so many customers, and there's possibly scheduled 5 people. We only have 13 people employed at this store, and there's so many customers. And they're good. We don't have fair scheduling. Managers don't care about us. Our manager was supposed to come in this weekend, and he took himself off the schedule, so he wouldn't be able to be held accountable for calling out. He just literally tore down the schedule that he was scheduled on and put up a new schedule where he wasn't on the schedule. Also, he couldn't have even seen that he was scheduled in the first place because he didn't want to be held accountable for not wanting to come in. They don't want to help us. We need a union because this can't happen. This can't happen. We need fair scheduling. We need managers to hold themselves accountable for helping their workers. They refuse to turn mobile orders off. We need the liberty to be able to do that because there's so many mobile orders and I need to get through all of them. And then people are yelling at me because I don't have their orders ready. And I don't know what to do. And a customer was misgendering me today, like really badly. I didn't have their order ready. And so they were just like talking to each other and they're like, she's clearly incompetent. I have a full mustache and beard. What the fuck? I don't get accommodations for being neurodivergent. I don't... Like, I can't use... Like, people get mad at me for too much sick time. I don't even know what to do anymore. I'm, like, at my wit's end with this job. I really am.
Look. First off... Oh, okay. I'm sorry. Give me a second here. First off, I know there's been a big push for Starbucks to have a union. I'm all for Starbucks having a union. I know some of those people work really hard. Like I know back in the day when I used to go to my old job, I would see, I'd go into a Starbucks because I've mentioned before, I like to support local businesses, but it was convenient. I'd go there, I'd get a cup of coffee when I felt tired. Not that it really does anything for me, but it's more or less, I would just get one. But I would see between the mobile orders and like regular orders, it could be a lot, you know what I'm saying? Like I would just see them, banging out drinks on it, But, but at the same time, we have to, there seems to be this level of people not wanting to work hard. It's different when you're like being abused. If somebody's verbally abusive to you, if you're having to work beyond, and a lot of places are like that right now because, especially in particular when you're talking about the service industry, Starbucks, restaurants, things along. It's very hard to find help. I know I moonlight as a bartender periodically, and it's very difficult for restaurants to find help right now. Waiters, waitresses, busboys, help in the kitchen, etc. It is a very difficult time right now. And you know what? Sometimes people are assholes. It's unfortunate, but it's the truth. Sometimes people are rude, are ungrateful, or will treat you like they're like you're below them. It's terrible. I know. It's awful. But there's something to be said about learning how to deal, because most jobs, most careers are service oriented. Barring you work in like a lab where you don't have to deal with people, a lot of these jobs you're going to have to deal with individuals or groups of people, period. And for this young man, or I don't know how he or she identifies themselves, I don't really care, to have such a meltdown. And I see this a lot. I shouldn't say a lot. I do see this. I seem to see it more with some of the younger people. Very emotional. Like, can't handle anything. Like, have OCD on a level like I've never seen. I'm not saying that people don't have that. But there's no room for... Like, things can't change. Like, things bother you. You're anxious all the time. Now, I think I know my reasoning for it. Part of it is just the way people grew up. They didn't get yelled at. Back when I was younger, you did something wrong, get your ass whipped. Period. And that's not just a black thing. That's a people thing. I've seen plenty of white folks out there putting the belt to their kids. It happened. There seems to be, with this younger generation, no room for being able to adjust. Like, everything has to be perfect or else. You see this young, or you can't see him, but obviously, but this young person here seems to almost like his life's coming to an end. Life is difficult. Life has never been easy. I don't know what it's like in heaven or whatever the case might be, but on this earth, life is difficult. You need to be able to make adjustments. You need to be able to deal with certain people. One of the things one of the things that I've come to realize, especially with older individuals, when I was a basketball player, when I was much younger, I wasn't very good. I messed up a lot. The coach, God bless his heart for having the patience with me. He would, yell at me, and you took it. It made you harder. It made you be able to deal with some of the BS that's going to go on in your adult life. I didn't always like it. When we had to run suicides and all that, it was kind of embarrassing for me, especially when I messed up. But guess what? You learn how to deal with people. You learn how to deal with different situations. Sometimes, as I said, people are a-holes. They're going to yell at you. They're going to do all types of things. There's such a generational gap now between the older folk and some of the younger folk. Like, the younger folk cannot be spoken to. Things have to be perfect, or else they're going to have a meltdown. And it's not good for society, because guess what? In the real world, people are rude, in particular customers. Now, 90% of the time, people are great. But there's going to be that 10%, that one person out of 10 who's going to be a complete and total asshole to you. And you have to be able to make adjustments. I worked with somebody in the past. If one little thing was off, she would have a complete and total meltdown. Now, you can say it's different with men and women and blah, blah. We have to be able to control our emotions. I mean, it would be emotional. Would everything would make them nervous. Like, they saw, oh my gosh, this is over. Like, I can't, And it had nothing to do with, like, it wasn't like a medical condition or something along those lines. It was, oh my gosh, this happened. One person I knew back in the day got into a car accident. As far as I know, didn't get injured. Couldn't drive for like years. It was because she was nervous. What? At some point, you have to put your big girl pants on and get over it. Now, obviously, I wasn't going to say that to her because it's not my place to do, but I'm thinking back in my mind, yeah, you got into a car accident. Barring the car, like, flipped over or you know, something, like, terrible like that, guess what? People get into car accidents every day. Barring you have some kind of medical condition or something along those lines. And I guess anxiousness could be considered a medical condition, but not to the point where you're like, it's going to be years before I drive again. What? How do you function as an adult that way? I mean, this person, probably a very young person, you're a full-time student. Okay. I knew plenty of full-time students who were parents and worked a full-time job. How they did it, where they got to, where they slept is beyond me. I knew a few in college. It's mental toughness. A lot of it doesn't have, you know, there's all the pills in the world can't save you from mental toughness. That's what things like that teach you. You can't have people out here. You can't have this young man out here crying in the middle of a shift because there's so many customers and people are rude. You know what you do sometimes? You ignore them. Or you just say, look, I'm going to be there in a moment, okay? I'm not one of these people who believes like the customer is always right. I won't go that far. Some customers are assholes. But you have to be able to have the mental toughness to be able to deal with situations. Okay, there's 4 people working. All right, you know, we're going to figure it out. There's 3 other people there. Yes, it's messed up what the manager did. I agree with that. But your life's not over. You're a full-time student. Okay. You work 25 hours during the week and you work the entire weekend. Let's put you, above about 40 hours? You're going to have to learn to make sacrifices. Everything's not going to be perfect. I don't understand some of these younger people today. And I don't say that to slight them or anything along those lines. I get it. Life is difficult sometimes. Like I said before, I knew parents who were full-time students taking 12 credits and worked a full-time job, went to school at night, and had not just one kid, but a couple kids. I knew one woman. She was, I think she was studying speech pathology when I was at Stony Brook. I was like, when do you sleep? I was having a tough enough time just as a college student. I couldn't believe this woman. She was like in all the classes, like energetic, the whole bit. She's got to be on drugs or something. With children? And I think she was married? What? But once again, you have to be mentally tough. Things are not going to always go the way that you want. Life's not easy. Some of y'all young people, and I'm talking to young people right now who are going to hear this. Y'all need to get over whatever it is. Y'all need to figure that shit out, because if you think working, you know, when people are rude customers at Starbucks, you think life is hard as a barista. Forget it when you get into the real world. And you work at Starbucks, which means you get health insurance. It's a give and a take. Yeah, I saw somebody send me that. One of my friends sent me that clip today. I just laughed, and I'm like, this young man has no idea what it's like in the real world. You know, some of you parents, I'm not here to criticize. I don't want to criticize parents and all that, but some of your kids, you raise them to be too soft. I know you're going to say, well, that's an old school way of thinking, and, you know, we need to be more sensitive and blah, blah. Not hypersensitive, though. There's got to be a balance. There's got to be a balance. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of the Jay Lex Podcast. Please like, share, subscribe, and comment on the content. Take care.
People wonder why we need a union at Starbucks, and I am literally about to quit. Like, I don't know if I'm going to do it, but, like, I really want to. I almost walked out today, and I'm crying in the back room right now, and I almost cried on the floor. It's just, I'm like a full-time student. I get scheduled for 25 hours a week, and then on weekends they schedule me the entire day, open to close. I'm on the schedule for 8.5 hours, both Saturday and Sunday. I'm like 3.5 hours into my shift. There's so many customers, and we have 4 people on the floor all day. Only 5 people were put on the schedule, and somebody had to call out. And there are 4 people running the whole store, and there's so many customers, and there's possibly scheduled 5 people. We only have 13 people employed at this store, and there's so many customers. And we don't have fair scheduling. Managers don't care about us. Our manager was supposed to come in this weekend, and he took himself off the schedule, so he wouldn't be able to be held accountable for calling out. He just literally tore down the schedule that he was scheduled on and put up a new schedule where he wasn't on the schedule. Also, he couldn't have even seen that he was scheduled in the first place because he didn't want to be held accountable for not wanting to come in. They don't want to help us. We need a union because this can't happen. This can't happen. We need fair scheduling. We need managers to hold themselves accountable for helping their workers. They refuse to turn mobile orders off. We need the liberty to be able to do that because there's so many mobile orders and I need to get through all of them. And then people are yelling at me because I don't have their orders ready and they don't know what to do. And a customer was misgendering me today, like, really badly. I didn't have their order ready. And so they were just, like, talking with each other. And they're like, she's clearly incompetent. I have a full mustache and beard. What the fuck? I don't get accommodations for being neurodivergent. I don't... Like, I can't use... people get mad at me for using my sick time. I don't even know what to do anymore. I'm, like, at my wit's end with this job. I really am.